Hello and welcome back to Rediscovering You. I am thrilled to introduce to you today Jordan Dellinger. Jordan is a brand new author and an empath, and she wrote a book called Congratulations, You Feel Everything. And she is here today to talk all about what it is like to feel things deeply and how it has impacted and shaped her life. Jordan, I am so excited to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm enjoying it so far. Thank you.
Wonderful. Would you mind talking a little bit about yourself in the sense of what inspired you to write this book?
Absolutely. For much of my life, as I feel like many women in their early 30s found myself growing up as a very sensitive person. Would cry at anything. I felt I mean all of my emotions, anger, happiness, everything so deeply. And I just thought I was different, or I thought something was wrong with me. Until about a year or two ago, I met with someone who was really put words to what I was feeling, which was empathy. I'm overly empathetic, and that's okay. So I found that there are a lot of others like me. You've got highly sensitive people. So I started trying to find resources to help me, looking for books, podcasts, anything that could help me. And one thing I found is that a lot of the books are written in a more of a clerical, lighthearted or entertaining. So I really went with this book to be similar to, like, you're a badass. Like, I want you to embrace your empathy. I want you to feel everything, but know how to build those boundaries so you're not killing yourself with overfeeling.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point because for people that are overly sensitive, it's really easy to take on the emotions of other people. And I don't know about you, but for myself, I'm also very empathetic. And for me, that can be exhausting. And so sometimes at the end of the day, I'd be showing up for other people so much in a sense that I just like, I literally felt like I ran a marathon. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel that completely. I think that so often we have so much empathy for everybody else that we don't take the time to be empathetic for ourselves. But you're finding yourself as like the unofficial therapist for your friend groups. You're taking on everything. You're at family functions, you're listening to everybody's problems, and you don't have the chance to really focus on you and help you. So by understanding your empathy and understanding the right way to build these boundaries, you're getting yourself in a much better place.
so important. And I think that for women particularly, we're more drawn to be caretakers, listeners, compassionate, and like that's just part of our nature. And so when we think about like maybe I don't have the energy or the mental capacity right now to show up in that way, there's like almost a sense of guilt or like what's wrong with me or I'm being mean and like that I just need to put my own needs and feelings aside so I can be present for this person here.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that it really shows. Of course, women have that as that stuck on my words.
It's okay.
So it has really shown that it is women that experience this like debilitating empathy. And you really do. You feel like you're failing someone when you decide to set that boundary, or you're just so tired. Saying no feels like you're ruining someone else's life. And it shouldn't be that way.
I couldn't agree with that more. So I want to get back, maybe go back a little bit. Can we talk about the basics? For somebody that's listening right now and just like, I've heard like the term empath before, but I'm not sure totally what it means. And I'm like, can you break it down? Like when you're using that word and being highly empathetic or being an empath, what does that actually mean?
So, by definition, empathy is the ability to understand others and share feelings with one another. And as an empath, I think that that is heightened. So you're really able to kind of like feel what's going on in the room. You could walk into a room and you're going to know an argument was happening. You're going to be able to feel your partner's vibes being off. And sometimes people don't do that. That's weird. Like, that was so strange to me to think about, like, everybody else doesn't feel these things. People can't just always read the room or know when something's happening, but it's like compassion for others. And you are kind of like an emotional sponge. You suck up everything that's going on, everything that's happening around you, but at some point that sponge gets too full.
And yeah, you put it really well, like being able to walk into a room and automatically get a sense of what the vibe is in the room. Is there tension in the room? Has there just been an argument? Are people feeling really joyful and happy? I mean, I could think of myself, like if when I was at work, if one of my colleagues would walk in, like I wouldn't even need to look up from my desk. Sometimes I'd be like, what's wrong? You just know
Yes.
right away. And I agree with you because I too am like, I just assumed that everybody does that and feels that. And it was shocking to me that other people don't.
Yeah, it is. And I think I was lucky that I had family and my parents who were very, I guess, supportive as far as me being a sensitive person. So I didn't know that it was different. I didn't really learn that until I was in my teens making friendships and relationships, and the people were so different than me. I had to learn that people don't feel everything the way that I do, but I can't expect them to either. I need to just understand that they don't feel it the way that I do. So perhaps in an argument with my partner, I am going to be sucking in all of his emotions as well as all of my emotions. And I'm going to be feeling it so much more than him who is not an empath.
Yeah. And is that ever frustrating for you? Like when you're in a reciprocal conversation or argument, whatever it is, and the other person just isn't matching your emotional intensity?
Absolutely. I think that it's kind of like being a child and you're crying for somebody else to understand over spilt milk, for
Mhm.
example. Like it might not matter. It might just be some milk that you spilled. But it's not that I just feel it so heavily. I can't help that I feel so intensely. So when somebody's looking at you as, oh, you're just sensitive, it is very frustrating, especially when someone doesn't know how to communicate through that. So I find myself for so long apologizing, like, I'm so sorry, I'm just sensitive, I feel too much, I this is probably annoying, like crying too much or getting too excited. Like it goes both ways, but you just have to have those hard discussions, those conversations, and kind of work through and navigate that.
So can you give some examples of like, what are some actual words that you can use when you're trying to communicate that this is what you're going through? Because I imagine it might be hard to put into words sometimes.
Absolutely. So I think asking for space is always, I think any conversation you should be
Mhm.
doing that if you need it, but just explaining how you're feeling. So I'm so sorry. I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. This is what I'm experiencing. One thing that I found is being able to pinpoint where the emotion is coming from or where your overwhelm is coming from. Is it your emotions that's overwhelming you or is it somebody else's? Is it your baggage that you're carrying or are you carrying someone else's? A lot of times it could be just that it's the end of the day and you've taken on this and this work and friends and family and you just haven't been able to take care of you. So
Mhm.
being able to get that weight off of your shoulders, identify where it is, and by identifying, hey, this isn't my mind that I'm carrying. Okay, I should probably let go of it. Obviously, it's not that easy. It's never going to be that easy, but by building those stepping stones and kind of working towards it, you're going to find yourself, I guess, narrowing in on what those emotions are that are weighing on you and being able to, I guess, figure out what you need to do to get around them. There are a lot of things that don't work for everybody, or everybody's very unique in the way that things work for them. I've created a toolkit for empathy that it kind of helps you through those days. At the end of the day, when you're overwhelmed, what can you do? How can I navigate this conversation with my friends? How can I navigate this conversation at work? How can I set these boundaries? Saying, I can't do this right now, or I have 30 minutes. Can we talk about this at another time and just get through part of it now? And just making it clear to people that you are there to help. You just need.
Yes, saying, okay, like your problem, what you're going through is important. I just don't have the energy to give it the attention it deserves right now. Can we
Absolutely.
talk about it later? So not minimizing the other person, but honoring that you need time and space to take care of yourself. You mentioned a few moments ago that you made a toolkit. That's so cool. Do you mind sharing some of the things that are in your toolkit?
Absolutely. I wanted to pull it up just so I have it here in front of me so I
Yeah.
don't miss anything. So, some things that I have are like the red flags, understanding when it's becoming too much, understanding those early signs so you don't get to the point where you're worn out. This is maybe feeling your shoulders are too tight up to your
Mhm.
earlobes, after a long day. Or it could be the emotional red flags as well. So saying, I'm fine in a
Mhm.
conversation when you're really not fine. You're frustrated. You should get that out. And then it's talking about the different techniques. So I like I like the physical like actions that kind of bring me to life and out of my head. I think that that's super important. So one thing I like to do is the breathing boundaries. So breathing in, this is my emotion, or breathing a breath, this is their emotion, and kind of just breathing through it. I think that that's super important. And then there's also just having the instructions for doing a hard reset. So a hard reset is usually, for me, it's 5 minutes. And that's shaking, jumping, just getting everything out of you. That's shocking yourself with temperature. I think that that's such a beautiful thing. Hot water, cold water.
Mhm.
Typically, I prefer hot water for everything. I want to take the hottest shower. So if I'm needing to shock myself with temperature, cold water to the face. Strong physical sensations. So that's ice cubes, smelling peppermint, and then identifying your senses. So feeling, hearing, what do you hear? What can you feel? And then setting that boundary. This is what I'm not going to take on for the rest of the day.
Mhm.
I'm going to get this off of my shoulders. You often find yourself with friends and coworkers or family who kind of increase this weight or this burden on you. So being able to identify and understand how to have those conversations. So for example, if you're having a friend that's kind of draining your energy, instead of just saying like I'm too tired or I'm too busy, you could say something like I care about you, but I need to preserve my energy today. Can we reconnect when I'm recharged? And I wanted to include a lot of those things in here to help others navigate the situations, because just saying like give yourself some space isn't enough.
Mhm.
um Running, you always have a bathroom you can
Mhm.
escape to at work, or you can set an alarm on your phone, then it sounds like your phone's ringing, and you get out of those conversations, those uncomfortable places. But then what do you do?
Right, right. I love that like the strategies you just talked about are very, very tangible things. Like it's not like, oh, just go and relax for a little bit. Like it's just like get up, move your body, the temperature shock. Like these are real tangible things that you can walk away with and use and do. And they do work. They really do work. Because I think for some of us, we get caught up in that I need to like fix it out by thinking it through in my mind and just stay in my head and ruminate on it. And that's really not good
Nah.
time,
Yeah.
especially when we're dealing with emotions, right? You can't think your
Yes.
way out of emotions. You got to feel your feelings. You got to
Hmm.
go through it, move your body, do the things. So valuable that you're including that in your book. I had a question for you as well that just popped up as you were talking. Now that you're at a phase in your life and journey where you are able to so beautifully articulate how you feel your emotions and what it's like for you and creating healthier boundaries for yourself, what has shifted? What has changed? Like, how are things different from you? How is your perspective different? Have your relationships changed? Like, what have you noticed that shifted?
Absolutely. So I found one thing, I think one thing that my therapist said so beautifully for me that really stuck with me is I was always giving to everybody else. And then I found myself so deep and being like helpful for someone else that I didn't focus on myself. So she gave me an analogy, and the analogy was you have your yard, you have a beautiful yard with apple trees, and your neighbors, which could be your boss, your friends, your family, they have a yard and they have orange trees, and you're just helpful. So you water both your trees and their trees. And then you're just getting so busy and you really need to take care of your own trees and you don't have the time to help someone else. So that could be there. It's just too much weight for me right now. I need to focus on myself and get this off of my shoulders, but still helping them. But when they don't take care of their own trees, it's not your fault that the trees start dying. And I think that that has been very helpful for me in setting those boundaries and not always being there. I could say that there were some relationships for sure that I think took advantage of that empathy, or me always being available, that when I did set those boundaries or kind of put up those walls like, hey, I'm not available right now, I need time, let's talk at another time, or I can't help you in this way, but here's what I can offer. I really found that those relationships kind of
Mm-hmm.
distance themselves. But I also found myself having more meaningful relationships with those that I'm close to who feel differently. My best friend, for example, she is not, I would say she's not a sensitive person by any means. She has very thick skin, and it's so different than what I experienced. But being able to understand that and work through that, but also teach her how I feel things. So now we're having much, very healthy conversations of, hey, I just have too much right now. I can't deal with this, but maybe we can talk at another time, or I can help you in another way. I don't feel like, no, what's going to happen if I don't help her? Is
Mhm.
she going to be okay? Because I know she understands, and I know I'm taking care of me at the same time.
That's a beautiful relationship right there that you just, even though you're so different, that you have a mutual respect for one another and love for one another, that you just understand that you each need different things in different ways and that neither style is inherently better or worse. It's just different. And I think that not always can people that are different find harmony and friendship together because they have different points of reference. But I love that, like, that's an example of you can be friends with people who are not empathetic. It doesn't mean that that's your tribe, is just other people that feel things deeply. In fact, that might not be healthy if you're always around just people that feel things so deeply, because there does need to be a balance. So thank you for bringing that up.
Absolutely. And my husband was in the military, so I spent a lot of time trying to learn to navigate those conversations with him because he is, taught to turn off.
Mhm.
So having to really teach him what it was like for me because I feel things, he saw it the same way. Like, maybe you're just being sensitive. And then after going through this journey with me, he's really learned to understand, like, no, you're just unique in that way that you feel things differently, but there's nothing wrong with that.
And I would argue that it's a gift to be able to sense things and feel things in a way and to not say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm just sensitive. But no, like, yes, I'm a sensitive, empathetic person, and this is one of my superpowers, and I'm proud of it. Can you share, because I'm assuming it's helped you in some
Mhm.
aspects of your life. Would you mind sharing some of the benefits of really stepping into owning who you are as a sensitive person?
Absolutely. And I like that you said superpower. I use that a lot. In the book, I talk about empathy being a superpower. But I think when working in HR and people operations, that's where I really found that beautiful connection with empathy because I'm able to help the employees. When you're working for large organizations, you have so many unique people, so many unique experiences happening, and being able to really connect with the employees with what they were going through. One thing I like to say was that when I was recruiting, I was helping people write the next chapter in their book of life because a job, when you're looking for a job, it could be for a bad reason. You could have been laid off, but it could just be for a good reason. You're looking to grow, and being empathetic to each of those situations and being able to help. So I found it being very powerful in helping me be close with these people and engaging with my teams. I think that that's one thing I've loved so much about it is being able to engage with others and connect on those different levels. I am very much an open book. I will tell you my whole life story the second I meet you. And I think that having the empathy allows for those connections to happen a lot quicker. I feel like I'm an easy person to talk to because of that. People are coming to me with their conversations and their struggles and things that they're dealing with. But once I was learning to set those boundaries, I'm not carrying the weight of those
Mhm.
conversations. I'm not letting my friends' goals, like a breakup,
Mhm.
weigh me down, but still being able to empathize and help her.
And that's beautiful examples of how it's so powerful. It's a gift in that you're able to just naturally help people very effortlessly, almost
Mhm.
most of the time, through your gift of being able to tune into their thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And it provides for them a safe space where that's why people are drawn to coming to talk to you because they know that you get it, that you're going to listen, you're a safe person.
Absolutely. I've always tried to be a safe space because I didn't always have that safe space. So I want to be able to provide that for other people. I'm not going to give you advice that you don't want. I'm going to ask you, do you want my advice or do you just want me to hear you? And I'm going to help you with those feelings and at least letting you just get it off of your chest. One thing I like to do and that I write about in my book is that, getting that that emotion out of your head is what's most important. So you're always taught to journal. That's an easy way to get things off of your chest. But sometimes when you're in these moments, there is so much happening that your
Mhm.
hand just can't write that fast. So just writing, drawing lines as if you're writing on the paper and scribbling, there's really that connection between your mind and the tactile with the paper that
Mhm.
you might not be writing the words, but you're getting it off of your chest. And I think that that has really helped as well, is getting it out of my head and theoretically onto, or I guess imaginary
Yeah.
paper, but it's just out there.
That's such a cool strategy. I'm going to try that the next time I'm like feeling intense emotion and just need to get it out. That makes
Absolutely.
so much sense. The mind body connection of like the act of writing and how it's like you need to process, so you need to physically do something with your feelings and process it
Mm-hmm.
in some way. So that's a cool strategy.
Absolutely. It's just get it out. You might not go back. I mean, you can't go back and read it, but at least it's off of your chest. And I didn't really find myself going back to read journal entries from those high emotion moments. So just getting it out there is what mattered.
Totally. Absolutely. So speaking of getting it out there, talk about the process of writing your book and how did that feel for you as somebody who already feels things so very deeply? Like what was it to try to articulate it throughout each chapter of your book?
That's a great question. I was meeting with a peer who does he works with like DISC assessments and a couple other assessments to really help people narrow in on what their superpowers are, and finding unconventional people. And when he was teaching me more about myself and reading over my DISC assessment and my scores, he's like, you're empathetic, you're an empath. That it was off the charts. Like he explained to me how beautiful of a superpower it was, and I it was like having words that I had never even thought of. Like I knew I was a sensitive person, but I didn't know that it was a positive thing. I always looked down on it, and I started looking for those resources, and the resources that I wanted didn't exist. I also found that a lot of them, as I said before, were more like medical or scientific or more written for like maybe a medical professional or a therapist. And I really wanted to kind of target those people. I guess I want to say, like, with my humor and my thought process, I feel like I want to be talking to a friend, not somebody like above, I guess, above me. And that's where I went with it. So I wanted to break down the aspects of my life. Like, where do I feel the unique situations with my empathy? So you've got, your empathy at work and your empathy with your relationships and with your family, but also understanding like how to set those boundaries. And I wanted to kind of encapsulate everything for an empath and kind of target what they need to know, that what isn't talked about, the good, bad, the ugly of
Yeah.
it. That was my goal. That's why I threw in those toolkits. It talks about the different experiences, some experiences that I've had that I feel like a lot of people understand. So Friday night, you get a phone call from your friend who's going through a breakup, but you have a big presentation that just flopped at work, and then your mom's complaining about something else, and it's like, what do you do in those situations?
Mhm.
And you just got to get it out. Okay, well, how do I do that? What do I need to do? Like, what steps can I take? So I wanted to bring that all into one place. So I was like, I've always been a writer. I have enjoyed writing. I've never really put anything out there with my writing. In schools, I won essay contests and things like that. So I was like, you know what? Like, let's just do it. Let's full send. I just wrote it. It took me about 8 months from pen to paper to have it printed and released, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
Unheard of. But it found it very easy to
Mhm.
kind of get it out because I wrote it as if I was talking to a friend.
And it definitely reads that way. And it's so relatable. And if you've ever, it's always reading it, it reminded me of when I was pregnant and I read The Girlfriend's Guide to Pregnancy. And it was just like, it's like your best friend talking to you, like telling you how it really is. And there's so much humor in it and you could see
Mhm.
yourself in it. And it's an easy, relatable read, but there's so much knowledge in it and it's so valuable and helpful. And I agree with you that there really isn't any other book out there that I've seen like this in this space that really breaks it down in a conversational way where it's not some expert talking down to you and explaining something to you. No, it's like you got like your best friend here, just kind of like, oh, this is what happened. Like, it's okay. We're gonna figure it out together.
Absolutely. And that was the goal because I'm by no means a professional in any way, shape, or form. But I think that's where you find the most beautiful advice and support is from somebody who's like you, not somebody who's like diagnosing you or
Hmm.
someone of that sort.
I totally agree. And like your sphere of people that you've had an influence on through your empathy is now just like grown exponentially in you writing this book. And it's going to help so many people who feel like, what is wrong with me? No, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing.
Exactly. Nothing wrong with you.
God,
Not at all.
such a beautiful thing. And it should be celebrated. Yes, you're welcome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It should be celebrated. And I think that that's the hard part, especially as women, when you're overly emotional, a lot of times, men and other women don't know
Mhm,
how to handle that or how to help you with that. Same with like in the workplace.
mhm.
If you're being sensitive, you're being weak, and that's not the case. It's not at all. And I think that there are a lot of discussions around that need to be, you know, had and more, happening more often.
Agreed. I totally agree with that. And we need to normalize it that we are just emotional
Absolutely.
beings and like it's okay to express your emotions in front of other people. That's just what showing what it means to be human and to
Exactly. And there's a healthy way to do it for sure. If you're exploding in front of someone and you're off the wall swearing, that might not be the best choice for handling it, but just, it's okay to cry. And I think that that is the most beautiful thing. Have heard that from that same person who taught me about my empathy. He said to me, it's okay that you're crying. It's okay to cry. And I wish that I could go to teenage Jordan and just say, hey, it's okay that you're crying.
yeah.
That's all right. It's okay to feel these things. It's just what you do with it.
So you mentioned earlier that you help people back in your role as HR write the next chapter of their life. So I want to throw that question out to you. What do you see for the next chapter in your journey?
That's wow. That's a tough question. The book just released about a week ago,
Mhm.
and I want to, help as many people as I can. I want to be able to teach, other empaths the way to really embrace these skills and move forward with it. So I would like to hope that my next chapter in my book of life is leaning more heavily into that,
Mhm.
using my book to kind of leverage that platform to reach these people and to help them. I started on LinkedIn and kind of building my network there and connecting with others, but I felt like the book was the best way. And I didn't write the book to help people. I wrote the book to help myself because it didn't exist. But if it helped someone else, that was all the more reason to. I didn't write it to make money or become famous or whatnot. I wrote it because I needed it, but found there are other people that need it. So I'm going to get it out there. And I want to get it in the hands of as many people as I can to help them, to help other empaths. And I think that there is a beautiful discussion that can continue from this book, which is helping people who aren't empathetic, who aren't highly sensitive people understand and kind of embrace what empathy they do have or teach them those skills to be empathetic.
Hmm. And I see you doing all of those things and so much more. And I just want to say, like, I'm truly honored to meet you at this beginning stage of what I'm sure is just going to be a spiraling out of all of the positive things that are going to come from your messaging, your book. And I'm, again, thank you for including me on your journey. I really
I,
am
I
honored.
appreciate thank you as well. I appreciate it. It's so exciting and I hope I hope you're right. Like I hope that this definitely continues because empathy is such a powerful connector
Yeah.
and it's beautiful. It really is.
Yes. So if people are curious about your book and want to know how to get it, where can they find your book?
So it's available on Amazon. Congratulations, you feel everything. You can also connect with me. I'm happy to connect or follow me on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/in/Jordan Dellinger.
And I'll include all of that in the show notes so you can just easily click on those links, get that book. You won't regret it. It's a really wonderful read. Jordan Dellinger, thank you again for being on the show today. It's been such a pleasure meeting you and speaking with you.
Thank you so much, Laura. I appreciate it.